when I went in, they showed me the composite sketch. Before I even pulled it out of the envelope, the picture out of the envelope, I said, I can tell you right now, I don't care if I pull out that paper and it's my brother on there. Fry the fuck. I want my daughter home. I don't care. Just I don't know who's got her. I don't know who took her. I don't know what's going on. But even like I said, even if it's a picture of my brother, fine. I want my child. On this one occasion, Darren was walking home two autistic children for a family friend, and he had met up with Victoria after school and said that he was going to meet up with her again. She said, "No, it's okay. I'm meeting up with somebody. I'll meet you at home." So he took those two children home, went back and left, went home, which is only like 3 blocks away from their school, and Victoria hadn't been home.
Terry Lynn McClintock was captured on Tori's school surveillance camera, walking her down this path towards a retirement home where Michael Rafferty was waiting for them in a car. Michael Rafferty had no idea that Terry had actually taken Tori. He was just waiting for her and a young girl.
Been for 3 months. She disappeared April 8th, and her remains weren't found until July 19th. So 3 months we went by basically looking in every window, looking around every corner, in every ditch, every car. Just like my mind wouldn't rest until I actually had an answer as to where she was.
She's your twin too.
Very much so.
Yeah.
I have another little boy right now. He's now 8, grade 3. And he's a spitting image cross between his older sister and brother. And it's kind of crazy.
So that having an 8-year-old now.
Yeah, it's kind of hard.
Terry Lynn McClintock was transferred to a healing lodge in Saskatchewan in late 2018. But after Rodney Stafford put up a fight, she was transferred back into a prison in Edmonton and is now back behind bars in Grand Valley Institution for Women in Kitchener.
Paul Bernardo was convicted of first-degree murder in the deaths of Leslie Mahaffey and 15-year-old Kristen French of St. Catharines, Ontario. His former wife, Carla Homolka, pled guilty to manslaughter as part of a plea bargain. Last November, Bernardo was declared a dangerous offender, ineligible for parole for 25 years. Debbie Mahaffey, Leslie's mom, is here. Hi, Debbie. He's locked away. He's been declared a dangerous offender. He's sitting in Kingston Pen. He can't get out. Isn't it over now? Isn't that it?
No, I don't want to hear about him anymore. And unfortunately, there are still those who feel that we need to hear every move that he's making. But most important, he can apply for 745, which is less than 15 years from now. And he could put in a hearing for that. And I don't have much faith or confidence in this, "Oh, don't worry, he'll never get out." That kind of rings kind of hollow when you think of people like Fredericks or Melvin Stanton or the rest of them. There are ways that they get out.
Okay, Debbie, if you could be the judge in this case, and we didn't have the laws as we have them now, and you were adjudicating Bernardo, what would you want him to get? We know you don't believe in capital punishment.
No, but I think to be fair to each of the victims that we should add up each of his charges and each one of his charges and give the sum total. And in my estimation, for each rape that was committed and confinement, each murder, each manslaughter, indignity to a human body, add them up, I think it's around 349 some years. And in that way, he's not eligible for parole. Life is life.
Yeah, you'll get there. Dealing with it. Yep. Take care. Okay, you too.
Grief isn't just the loss of a person. It could be the loss of finances, health, and even just time. Giselle Burrows was young and vulnerable when her life was taken over by multiple abusive relationships and drug abuse. She has now been clean for 8 years.
I'm 31 years old. I've got 4 daughters, ages 14, 10, 5, and then almost 4 months old. Childhood was normal. Parents were divorced at I think grade 2, grade 3, so you're what, 7, 8, 9 years old, something like that. They shared 50-50 custody. Spoiled, had everything we wanted. There wasn't anything in my childhood that would have, like, there was no abuse or anything like that to make me get into that situation. I think it happened around grade 8 when I started smoking weed a lot. That was kind of like the downward spiral from there.
Addiction, the fact or condition of being addicted to a particular substance, thing, or activity.
Got into another relationship, and that's when I was introduced to oxys, which was like, with coke it was more of a mental addiction where I could do it for the weekend then not do it again for, another month or whatever else, where oxys was a whole body addiction. So if you didn't have it, you were sick, it was hell. Actually, I went to my stepmom and told her that I was on drugs, I was on oxys, and I needed help. Her brother, I believe, I think it was her brother, was also dealing with drugs, so I figured she would know where to go and how to get me help. We went down to a methadone clinic in Toronto, because that's the only one she knew of. Because of my age, I was under 19, the doctor didn't want me to go on methadone yet, so he gave me all the pills and whatnot that they would give you in detox. So he sent me on the way, told me it's going to knock you out for 2 weeks, it's going to like take everything out of your body, blah, blah, blah. Go home and you're going to, yeah. So she took my oldest daughter for 2 weeks and I slept for those 2 weeks. I was 20 and then I just picked up where I left off again with the coke. Went right back into it. I was working, so I was functioning cokehead. So I was going to work high, and then I met a guy at work. We were, both recovered drug addicts, so again, we both got into oxys again. We ended up, or he ended up robbing my work that I worked at and putting the blame on me when he got caught, saying that I was the mastermind behind all of it. So I ended up getting, first time I've ever done anything wrong, I was charged with 2 counts of theft under $5,000 because I went on stress leave after he did it the first time, and my first day back at work, he did it again. And that's when we got caught and he put the blame on me. So I was on house arrest for 3 months. My kids got taken away because then I was on methadone again and my drug screens were coming up with cocaine in the system, or in my urine. So they called FNCS. My 2 kids got taken away and they had to go live with my mom. Needless to say, that relationship ended. So in the meantime, my mom was supposed to be taking care of my kids, but she wasn't. So I had them even though I wasn't supposed to. So we were talking to CAS, they thought that they were living with my mom, really they're living with me. I had no consequences for my actions. So I was still doing coke, working, partying, had a babysitter that lived in the same complex that I did, so I was constantly just out drinking and being stupid. I met the guy that I'm with now, which was going on 8 years ago. When we first met, he had no idea about my drug use, had no idea that I didn't even have custody of my kids. So the one day, a CAS decided to make a surprise visit, and sure enough I had my kids there with me. So we snuck out the back door, called my mom picked me up. So when I told my mom, like, enough's enough, you gotta take the kids, we're gonna get caught, then I'm gonna lose them, and all my hair tests were coming up dirty, and she was in denial about the whole thing. She said the chain of custody must have been wrong. They must have got it mixed up with somebody else, and I let her look like an idiot in front of everybody and believe that I wasn't doing anything. So when the kids went to my mom's, my boyfriend came home from work, asked where the kids were. It was like a Tuesday, Wednesday, in the middle of the week. So I said the kids are with my mom. He asked why. So that's when I told him I actually don't have custody of the girls. They were taken away. But I lied about the drug use. I said I'm not doing anything. You know, they just won't get them back to me because I won't go to rehab, and, you know, played the poor me card. He believed me. And then, still doing coke. I mean, it got to the point where it was under my bed and ready to go first thing in the morning. It was driving with my kids around in the car, high as a kite. But my kids never went without. I still made it. I paid my bills, still bought all their stuff. Just managed to scheme enough money to be able to do the drugs with it. So it came up to a year of my mom having the kids, and I got the paperwork saying that if I can't provide a clean drug screen, if I don't go to rehab, they're going to permanently take away my kids. So that was my rock bottom. So I stayed at rehab, did everything they wanted me to, came home when it was over, and I immediately started fighting for my kids. So January 15th, 2012 was the actual day that I did coke. I came back I think it was right after Mother's Day. And Child Services, they kept giving me weekly drug tests. I kept passing them. Hair tests. It was still showing up in my hair, but the numbers were going down. So it was good enough. They started giving me every other weekend with the girls to slowly bring them back home. We went to court in September. My lawyer's like, don't be surprised if you don't get them back. I've never seen it happen so fast. It's only been 3 months. There's still coke in your hair. I walked out of there with full custody of my kids. And I've been clean ever since. So I'm still with him. He's still stuck by me. And we've got 2 children together. So after I got clean, I got pregnant with my 5-year-old, and then again with my 3-month-old.
So you have 2 daughters.
You
guys have 2 daughters together, and
Yeah.
then he has another daughter.
So 5 daughters altogether.
Where are the boys?
There is none. Yeah, there's none. I screwed my dad over a lot, and my mom, but mainly my dad. We lost contact for a long time. You know, like he would be at work and he would get a call from the babysitter that I didn't show up to pick up my daughters. You know, he's gonna leave work. It took a lot to gain his trust back. It was just slowly but surely, like actions speak louder than words. I think I still carry a lot of guilt towards him, but all I can do is prove to him that I'm not gonna go back to the way I was, and I think he sees that now. I think my stepmom was there for a lot of it too. She's been around since my oldest was 6 months old, so she helped raise my oldest. I have a lot of guilt towards the older 2 girls, especially my oldest. She was old enough to know that I wasn't around, but not old enough to know why. There's still some things that she's like, she knew I went away, but she doesn't know where. So she's 14 going on 15 now. Eventually I'll sit down and have that conversation with her. And my parents taught me don't do drugs, they're bad, but they don't tell you that you're gonna go do coke and you're gonna feel amazing and feel like you're on top of the world, but they don't talk about the down spiral. So I think that's a conversation that needs to be said with a lot of people. Is all it is don't do drugs. You'll get addicted, blah blah blah, but it's gonna be fun at first until you lose everything. I'm probably I probably let my kids get away with more than what I should because of the guilt. Now, so I don't. They've got a Christmas concert. I'm there. I don't miss their birthdays. I don't miss anything. So if I can go on a field trip with them, I will. Just always being there and letting them know that I'm here. There's more to life than the drugs. You're worth more. Get the help. I went to a program that was 12 steps. I don't necessarily follow the 12 steps. It was more getting over. There was a few things that did happen. When I was 13, I went to a party when I was drunk. I walked home and I was sexually abused by some guy. The way I walked home was through the forest, and I don't even think I've still told my parents about it. So it was a lot of stuff like that you need to get out. You have to talk to people. I think I took my parents' divorce hard. So whatever demons you're hiding, you need to talk to somebody, and there's more out there than the drugs. And your life and your kid's life is worth more than the drugs.
You're amazing. And thank you for that. I'm proud of
Thank
you.
you.
John Bowlby was a psychoanalyst like Freud and believed that mental health and behavioral problems could be attributed to early childhood. It was Bowlby in 1969 who originally made his name by studying newborns and infants of parents who died in World War II. These infants failed to thrive. Bowlby recognized the importance of attachments with others and believed that the bereavement process is our natural response to broken attachment bonds.
I know that he was really tall and he had a really big afro and his favorite color was blue.
Kalisa's dad died when she was only 5.5 months old. She has no recollection of him whatsoever.
I have pictures of my daddy, but we only have one